To another episode of Cancer Tamer. I'm your host, Dr. Charley Ferrer. And with me again today is Myra Sanchez. We loved her so much we wanted to have her back on the show and talk a little bit more. And
Deborah Santulli-Barone, I'm here again.
you're with us all the time. Deborah is wonderful. She's our co-star here. And so always doing some wonderful programming. For those of you that are watching our show or listening to it, feel free to make suggestions, make comments on our show. We're always looking for new topics. And if you wanted to be on the show to talk about chiropractic care or any kind of treatment, or just to talk about being a caregiver, because those individuals are so important in our lives, and also about giving encouragement to other women and men who also have cancer, feel free to give us a call or email us at info@cancertamer.org. So welcome back, Myra.
Thank you so much for having me again.
And tell us a little bit about who you are one more time in case somebody didn't see our previous show with you.
Okay, well, I am Myra Sanchez, as you said, and I am a health and wellness coach. And my organization, Staten Island Dragon Lifestyle, is dedicated to helping all people come to a higher energy and higher quality of life using traditional Chinese medicine and Qi Gong practice.
Right. And as I mentioned before, Myra has been kind enough to say that she would be willing to do meetup workshops with us, totally free, in the park here on Staten Island in Clove Lake. And we can do some Qi Gong and learn a little bit more about getting our energies and making that flow. Regardless of where you are in your recovery or where you are in your remission, and I hate that word, but regardless of where you are, being able to join us and just do some movements, and we'll have some information on that on our website. So again, totally free, just for you to be able to learn a little bit more.
Right.
And so we are going to be talking about breast health and lung health and how to do that. And so can you tell us a little bit about that and why it's important and how to do it?
So again, what we talked about last time is that from the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine, the kidney, the liver, and the stomach are the organs that really like to be focused on in order to build that flexibility and stimulate that flow in the breast area and create breast health.
And how is that done?
So we use the 5-element theory, which it's a weird name to call it a theory because it's just an observation that's been going on for thousands of years, and the Chinese medicine doctors use those observations to create the Neijing, and that's their classical medical text, and it suggests that our life belongs to God, but our health belongs to us.
And it could be any God. It doesn't matter what you believe in, as long as you have that in your any kind of faith. Yeah.
The health is really it's really ours to manage.
Right.
And so they allow us to use the 5-element theory, which I brought here for us to take a look at.
Yes.
And the idea is to live debt-free, basically by not overusing your energy to the point where you're constantly in debt. From the perspective of Chinese medicine.
And we're not talking financial debt. We're talking
debt, energetic debt.
I love that, though. Look
so
at that.
the idea is that it's easier to understand sometimes how to manage the resource of energy when you focus on money, because that's a tangible thing, and whereas energy or qi is so intangible. It's invisible, but it's still there.
So imagine coming out with $100 of energy. So each one is a point, $1 for each energy piece that you have.
Exactly. So let me just piggyback off that, so to speak, and talk about the kidney, which is the organ we talked about, right? That is part of breast health. Kidney, from the traditional Chinese medicine perspective, is looked at as your inborn qi. Basically, when you're born, you have a certain amount of energy at your disposal for your life. for the entire life, every part of it. So it's really important to be conservative with that energy. So think of the kidney like your savings account, right? And then the stomach is the other organ that we talk about in Chinese medicine and breast health, and actually in all of health, right? And the stomach is the checking account. So the combination, the relationship here between the savings account and the checking account has to be managed the same like you manage money, right? If you constantly are shopping and encouraging lots and lots and lots of debt, then at some point you have to pay that debt. So we look at illness as you have created an energetic debt, right? Which is often what, years and years ago, common sense was really a very big practice in medicine. It wasn't all about actual medicine, right? The idea was that if you were feeling sick, you were feeling run down, it was time to rest.
That was simple.
Right.
That's
it was simple. That's
like
what you did.
And what most people don't realize is that actually until the 50s, until the 1950s, the doctors would actually recommend sex.
Right? Oh, sex? Really?
Yes. If you were feeling depressed, if you were feeling...
If you were acting crazy. Just have some sex.
But the reason they would, because as a clinical sexologist, I love this stuff, but the reason that they would recommend sex is because when you're having sex, you get very happy, and your endorphins come out, and your serotonin, and all your happy hormones happen.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, it doesn't always work that way, does it?
But the fact that they used to recommend it, and then they got away from that because it became more traditional and more conservative. Right. But the doctors back in the 1800s would recommend, hey, you're depressed, go have more sex.
And the other key about that is that sex stimulates flow.
Right.
Yes, it does.
So you're flowing in every direction, and therefore your energy is flowing. And as soon as energy gets released, then
and you're feeling happier, and
then things start to move and progress, and you feel better. Generally, it's really more lately that there's such an interest in suppressing symptoms. Right, and we don't feel well. Let's take cough suppressants.
Right.
Let's take an allergy suppressant.
Right.
It's when you suppress something, you just mask it or push it down. You don't deal with it.
Right, and then it manifests somewhere else.
Exactly.
And so the stomach ache that you had now ends up being a headache, or it ends up, getting into colon problems or something else.
Right. Exactly.
That's wonderful.
But I like this. But getting back to this, so you say, why water? Because that's part of the elements of the earth, I guess, right? Is that what we were talking about?
So the 5 elements is based on nature, and what in their observation, what they realized is that these organs in our bodies are behaving similarly than than aspects of nature. So, for instance, the liver, which we didn't talk about yet, but is also important in liver health, is represented in the trees. Right? Growth and cultivation and flexibility and flow. Those are the spiritual aspects of the liver function. So we often think about in Western medicine just focusing on the actual organ as a physical thing, and that's it, end of story. But no, there's so much more.
Because it's connected to so many other things.
Exactly.
So the liver is cleaning your system.
The spirit of the liver matters.
Right.
And so then another piece that they talk about is the emotion. So the emotion related to the liver is anger. So we can really start to see that if a person is suppressing their anger, they're not releasing their anger, they're just getting more and more enraged, then that is blocking their flow in their life, in their body, right? And then over time, it creates heat in the body. So Chinese medicine looks at essence, and it looks at conditions of cold and heat.
Right, and your heat is your inflammation.
Right, exactly.
And so issues that are coming up, which is why you would also have, if we pull in our thermography, when we had the thermography, where you see the heat on the body, and how it shows the different colors on whether or not you're hot or cold or whatever, where it showed that it was a lot of heat in the body. There was the inflammation and there was the issues.
Exactly. And see, in our Western model, again, we don't know necessarily how to deal with it. We don't know how to fix it, but we then just deal with the pain and focus on the pain as if there's no root to that pain, but there is.
Right, and we are such a society of, a quick fix.
Right.
So give me a pill and it'll make it go away. Give me a pill and my headache is gone. Give me a pill and my depression is gone. Give me a pill. And so especially with people who are antidepressants work. However, they don't work as well if you're not adding the therapy component to it. Because then you'll be on antidepressants for 10, 20, 30 years, and it's not doing anything for you.
Exactly.
Because the root cause is the emotions and all the other stuff that's going on. And once you address that, you can address everything else. It's just like once you address the emotional aspect, you clear that. So now you're not going to have the stomach aches or the reflex or the pain in your chest.
Exactly.
And so being able to move that energy, which again comes all back to energy.
Right. So if we think again about that very simple idea of debt, this is how you deal with debt incrementally. Like nobody can really plan on winning the lotto to pay a big bill. Like you just can't.
I have my rent is due. I want the lotto.
It'd be nice, but that's not very.
But
it's not a sustainable way of doing something. You could get lucky, but you can't plan on lucky, right? So it's the same idea with energy. And if we become educated in terms of how our bodies are working, see the arrows on the outside point to the nurturing relationship. Right, and the arrows on the inside point to the collaborative relationships, the cooperation. So certain organs are connected to each other, like mothers and daughters. Like if your daughter's having a problem, the mom has a problem, right? Because every mom's going to try to work on helping their daughter, right? Even if it means that they deal with less for themselves. Right?
Of course, yeah.
So it's the same idea is happening inside our bodies, and it's really important to know that because our bodies are a reflection of nature, and it's not like society. The rules of society, how we experience society, relationships in society, it's not the same in nature. In nature, everything is about balance. It's about harmony. It's about collaboration. It's about connection. So we all know that our life can be enhanced when we have better connections, right? When we have better relationships. But how do we actually go about enhancing those relationships? Education. And practice.
And learning. And that's why I love when people go to workshops. It's like, and you always hear somebody saying, I don't have to go to a workshop to know how to be a great lover or be a great wife or be a great father or mother or whatever. But it's like, yes, you do. Because in everything else in life, you learn by getting educated. Right. You need to learn how to get educated on this too and be the best person that you can be for whatever relationship you are, including with yourself.
Exactly, because we're ever evolving. We're ever evolving.
Right, because we talked about, in the last show, we talked about having those 10 minutes for yourself.
Which is hard, right?
Right, which is hard to find those 10 minutes for yourself. But I always say, don't try to find them, make them. Make the 10 minutes. Use, and I have been known to put myself into my own schedule to be able to say, yep, Dr. Charley has this time with me. And I make an appointment with myself so that I can remember, hey, I need this time. So my thing is nobody gets to talk to me before 11 o'clock in the morning because that's my quiet time. Right. And so after 11 o'clock, I joke, I'm alive after 11, the vampire has come out and ready to go. But it is that piece of being able to have that quiet time for myself, to do something for myself, even if it's just sit down and have a nice tea or just think about all the things that I want to do. And you can do this by not, when you wake up in the morning, take an extra 5 minutes in bed and just go over the fun stuff that you want to do with yourself.
Right.
You know, instead of, oh my gosh, I have this meeting and that meeting, it's like, okay, what do I want to do for myself? How do I want to celebrate me? Am I great to be alive? You know, it's
Right.
It's that stuff.
And the other piece that I want to just bring in is the idea of gratitude, appreciating the body for what it is doing. Because at every stage, whether you feel sick or not, the body is still trying to create homeostasis. It's really trying to heal itself all the time. So the value of this information is that it empowers an individual to make a choice to do that at every stage of the day. It doesn't matter if you're busy or not. There's always something you can do to say, hey, I love you. To your own self, to your own body, because you want to support that process of healing.
Right. And you can do that as well, which is a great point. You can do that process of healing or that process of being gracious to yourself and having gratitude by what you put into it.
Exactly.
You know, I love that little lead-in. You know, are you drinking enough water? Are you choosing soda instead of water or juice? Or, you know, what are you feeding yourself? Are you having another bag of chips?
Right.
Instead of an apple or an orange or something that's actually going to give your body the nutrition that it needs. So
that's a great segue right there for, again, the 5-element theory. And each one of the organs has a particular taste and a particular color connected to it. So again, very, very simple. The liver is like the trees, so it's green, right? And green foods. So if you look at foods that look like
green,
nature,
lettuce.
right? Lettuce or broccoli. Broccoli looks like a tree, and that is a way that you can.
Has been known to help with cancer issues.
Right, exactly.
And especially breast cancer because of the chemicals of broccoli.
There you go. So see, there's a way that using broccoli, you can bring it into your stomach, into your life through your stomach. The stomach uses that, breaks it down, creates that energy, and then sends that energy that matches the vibration to the liver. And so that by that cooperative relationship, you're basically killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. You're not really killing, you're actually
activating and feeding and so on.
Exactly.
And so one thing that I want to talk to, and I love the people that are out there that are going, she hasn't talked about the fire, she hasn't talked about the red. We're not forgetting, she's going to talk about that one now and talk about the heart.
Right. And so the heart, again, I mean, everybody knows love, right? So the heart is about love. And obviously your joy is very important in your healing process. In your process of daily life anyway, the Chinese say that the business of life is really to enjoy it. Like that's really the key, the goal, you know. So what are you doing today?
To make yourself happy.
Right.
You're looking at this show.
So this teaching is my passion. So a part of what I do part of my business is teaching and educating other people about how to take care of themselves better. That feeds my heart, that feeds their heart, and the relationship is cooperative. And that's really one of the things that I found so incredibly powerful about this holistic practice, and that's really why I made a whole career change and decided, no, I want to really focus. And that's what we're doing. We're always evolving.
Right.
Where we start is not where we have to end.
Right.
So
and your program takes into consideration all of the energy fields and so on, and you actually target, if I remember from our discussion, you actually target different areas in the body at different times and stimulate those areas.
Exactly.
To be able to detoxify and get it moving.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because sometimes it's not just about detoxing, it's also about getting it moving.
It's also about prevention, right?
Okay.
So this information can be used if you already have a condition and want to work cooperatively with your practitioner to help yourself, right? You want to do something at home that can help you in your day, because your doctor is with you for an hour or two, but you're with yourself the rest of the time. So you want to build that relationship and help your practitioner help you.
Right.
And this is a way to do it. The other key is that you can you can use this if you don't have an issue and you just want to be preventative. You are interested in longevity. You're interested in maintaining your youth as long as possible.
Right.
Your
and sometimes
flexibility as long as possible.
it's not about, looking 20 or looking 30, but feeling 20,
Exactly.
feeling 30.
Exactly.
Because I know I'm just turned 55, and I'm like, yep. Don't feel like an old lady.
I'm with
because
you.
I remember when I was younger, and not to insult anybody out there, but I remember when I was younger, I would think that 55 was for an older person, and yet being able to think now at 55, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't consider myself old.
That's good.
And I'm doing my body, and I'm exercising, and I'm eating healthier, and I'm taking my vitamins, and I'm doing what I need to do to keep my body healthy. Mm-hmm. And so being able to look at those aspects and know that, we talk a lot about breast health, but also you had mentioned before about the lung health. And so exercises that we can do for that, and reasons why, this season in particular is so important.
Right. So right here we look at the relationship between the heart and the lung, right? Again, everything's about relationships, and the lung and large intestine is responsible for your beauty, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, your skin is like it's the skin. It's the largest organ of the system. It shows, right? We've often heard of beauty is inside out, right? And it shows on our skin, the quality of our skin. Mm-hmm. People that are generally healthy don't have to wear too much makeup because their skin just radiates.
And when you're eating unhealthy, you have all those acne and
exactly.
the skin issues.
Exactly. So if you really want to guard your beauty and health, you get this information so you understand. The lung and large intestine work together to create flow, and letting go is very important. The idea of letting go, right? Because the large intestine is removing waste. Right, and the lung is taking in the air. So you just think about it. The lung is so important because you're taking in something new. Mm-hmm. Your body is transforming and using what can be used, and then it lets out what can't be used. So a lot of people struggle with irritable bowel syndrome or chronic constipation. All that has to do with a person just being unable to let go.
Get rid of. Yeah.
Just being sometimes unwilling. Right. So it's a really great thing to consider. We talked in our last show about stimulating that first energy gate that's in the hand. That's all about letting go. That's all about basically encouraging your body to release, to take in new
because
energy and release
when
the
you're
old.
Stuck, that's when you end up having issues. That's when you end up, having heart palpitations or even getting cancer. Some people believe that because of an old hurt that you're holding on to it.
Exactly, nursing it.
So so
nursing it,
that's
and
a good connection. So now you end up with breast cancer because that wound is still there.
Exactly.
And so being able to get rid of that wound, being able to get rid of that energy. And I know we actually had, when we had Claudia Gallo on the show, and she did spiritual energy, and she's a health healer. And so being able to get that cleansing out. So depending on what you believe and whether you believe in any kind of traditional religious belief, there's so much more out there. There's so much more energy out there, and God is in so many different forms.
Right.
So he or she takes on so many different forms within your body, including yourself.
Exactly. Well, the key that I'm constantly remembering is that, we're both human and divine. We have an aspect of ourselves that is divine and unchangeable, and then there's an aspect of ourselves that's just human, and then so both aspects of us need care.
Yeah.
Right? Both. It's not one or the other, it's both.
Right.
And so this is a great program for that, because it gives you really practical tools like what to eat, how to eat, things like that can help you start to create those messages of health and well-being
So what's your favorite go-to in the morning if you want to create serenity?
Pull this down.
So one of the things I use is the essential oil. The energy gate, I always work on the energy gate in the morning, depending on how I'm feeling when I wake up. I decide which one is the one that I'm going to focus on. Sometimes I do all 5.
Right.
I'm sorry,
And-
4. I'll use all 4. But
I thought
you
there was
know,
a secret one you were holding back on.
the secret one is
them
that
all
I do. The secret is that I also practice the Qi Gong. Like my dragon lifestyle is really about my lifestyle.
Right.
It's what all the things that I have done so that I could build the kind of health that I want to live and the kind of quality of life that I want to live. And I don't want it to be dependent on the circumstances or the dependent on my age. You know, my kids are grown up, and I really wanted to stay
Beautiful.
not just youthful,
Energetic.
but relevant.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I wanted to stay relevant. I didn't want to be at that level where, you know, all of a sudden, I mean, I had kids early, but I definitely wanted to have a life after my kids grew up. And this is what helped me do that. When you mentioned before about how you felt a certain way at 20, when I was in my 20s, I felt so sick. I was constantly ill, and I was even on disability for a while. And so at 49 now, I feel amazing. I feel amazing,
great.
but I feel amazing because I worked on what I had to work on until I gave it enough time that my body handled creating that balance in itself. And I recovered from my health conditions and concerns. And now I'm using Chinese medicine for prevention.
Awesome.
great.
So now you know we always go right to the end of our time. And so I want to thank Myra Sanchez for being here with us today and sharing
My
the
pleasure.
Staten Island Dragon Way, another way of being able to work on your health. And that's what we bring you here on our show, always talking about different ideas on how to get healthy, both traditional and alternative. And so you've been listening to Cancer Tamer. Please feel free to contact us and see all these wonderful, the flyer that she had, the poster that she had will be on our website, so you'll be able to get that there. And you can go to cancertamer.org to get more information. So thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Charley Ferrer.
Thank you. I'm Deborah Santulli-Barone, and thank you, Myra Sanchez.
Thank you.